It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. You spent months building towards launch day, but when the clock hits 0, your site crashes. Bots swarm, and loyal fans rage on Reddit. That's not good. Fanfare was built to stop that. Fanfare is the drop platform made for high-pressure moments, stampede-proof infrastructure, verified waitlists, and bot filters that actually work. Instead of refunds and rage, you get retention and revenue. And that sounds great to me. Your next launch shouldn't be a gamble. Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook and learn how to bulletproof your drop at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, that's fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need.
This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 237.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. His AOL username was Fat Flynn with a PH. Pat Flynn.
While DIY website tools are everywhere, most fall short on design and performance. Hit publish. Framer ships your site worldwide in seconds. No code, no compromises. Framer is a powerful, user-friendly platform that delivers developer-level results without writing a single line of code. Make your designs move and convert with Framer. Framer brings your site to life with powerful animations, dynamic content handling, and a design-first approach that helps your site stand out. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. Browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something of your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, scroll and looping animations, and much more in seconds. And it's free to start. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting of generating starter layouts and can even translate your entire site to any language. On the back end, you'll get responsive breakpoints, built-in hosting, a flexible CMS, and privacy-friendly analytics. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at Framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's Framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. This is session 237, and today we are talking about a topic that is sometimes used as an example in the internet marketing, entrepreneurship, online business space. Sometimes when people give examples of different websites in their own step-by-step tutorials, they'll bring up things like knitting and scrapbooking and crocheting. I remember the guys over at Internet Business Mastery, they had talked about macrame as sort of this thing that one could create a site for. It was always this kind of joke thing, macrame knitting. Like, how could you build a niche website or a successful business out of things like that? Well, back in episode 37, we featured somebody who was making six figures a year by doing scrapbooking. And today we're going to be talking with Lauren, who has built a successful side business in the knitting space. So it can be done. Lauren has proven it, and she's going to talk all about how she started this and how it became what it is today. Her positioning is really good. She also won a number of different contests too, I think. There was the Fiber Factor, which is sort of a contest or reality type show in the knitting space. She was a guest on Knitting Daily TV, and she's just been knitting for fun, and it turned into this really cool side business called Girly Knits, GirlyKnits. She has another website, which is more of a personal blog at knittingisawesome.com, and her stuff looks super cool. It's targeted toward hip chicks. That's Girly knits for hip chicks. That's her target market. And if I was a hip chick, I'd be all over this kind of stuff because this is really cool. So go ahead and check out the patterns, see what they look like, and we'll get right into the episode and talk about how this all got started. So here we go. What's up, everybody? I'm so happy to welcome Lauren from girlyknits.com. Lauren, welcome to the SPI podcast. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to talk to you too, and thanks again for being here. And for those of you who don't know, I mean, nobody knows except you and me, we've been actually talking for, 4 years almost now, just via email about your story and what you've been up to. And I've always told you this. I wanted you to come on the show, and so thank you for being patient with me and waiting 4 years.
Oh my God, sure thing. And thank you so much. I mean, I think I first reached out to you in maybe 2011. And when you responded to me, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, wow, he's actually responding and giving me great advice. And I just appreciate so much that you were there to answer questions and share milestones with. And as you know, I always wanted to reach out to you and share with you different accomplishments because I just appreciate your podcast so much. It's helped me so much over the years.
Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate you saying that. And so why don't we get into your story? I think people might have an idea of what you do. Girlyknits.com is your website. And it's funny because in the IM space, there are typically certain examples that people use on, well, you can make money with anything, even knitting. And here you are literally doing that. So why don't you talk about what were you doing before you created this site, and then we'll get into the story.
Yeah, so I live in New York City. I've been working as a fashion designer for the past 10 years. And I started my business in 2011, and
you were a fashion designer. Did you immediately start your business after school was over? Or what prompted you to create this business?
Yeah, so I've been knitting since I was 9. My stepmother actually taught me, and it was really sweet because her mom knit and her grandmother knit too, and they taught her when she was younger. And so one day she just decided to teach me.
That's cool.
And I was just instantly fascinated by knitting. I would just sit in my room for hours on end, reading books from the 50s, trying to figure out how to do different things and knit different stitch patterns. And, I found some things, and I would just knit any pattern I came across because I was just it was just this thing where you just kept building on your skills and learning more.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that, and I knitted all throughout high school and college. And then in college, I started getting frustrated because I couldn't find any knitting patterns that I wanted to make. I wanted things that were like really young and fun and fashionable and, just like cute, like tank tops and skirts and dresses, like things that I would wear. And so I started designing my own patterns then, like very informally. Like I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like, looking at something I owned and being like, oh, maybe I'll like, it looks like this. And I'll just kind of, I just improvised and, sometimes things turned out good and sometimes I didn't. But I basically got really into making my own clothes. I taught myself to sew and would like sew all my own clothes and realized that I wanted to be a fashion designer. And I maintained this passion for knitting. But still throughout the years, I just really struggled with finding knitting patterns. And so that I wanted to make. And for those who don't know, like a knitting pattern is sort of like a sewing pattern. Like it's basically like step-by-step instructions for like all the materials you need, like exactly what you need to do to create whatever item it is. So if it's like a sweater, it tells you, how many stitches to cast on and what to do with them and, how to make the sleeves and how to sew it all together and just like really step-by-step how to create someone's design. And the difference between knitting patterns and sewing patterns is sewing patterns, usually it's like these big pieces where you're like cutting out fabric, whereas knitting patterns, it's all text. So everything is like in abbreviations and, so that knitting patterns were typically published as books or in magazines. And so everything's like very condensed so that people can like pick up a magazine and, they can knit all these different things in the magazine. And so
oh wow! So there's like a language, right? Basically,
yeah, exactly. And it's actually cool because it's kind of universal. Like people like around the world can usually follow English knitting patterns because everything's so abbreviated. There's not like a lot of like full words in there. So,
oh, that's cool. It almost reminds me of like tabs for guitar. You just kind of look at the little numbers thing, and you're like, oh, I could play that song.
Yeah. And so what happened was I was actually. Well, okay, so my story basically started when I read The 4-Hour Workweek, as most stories do.
Yeah, right? Isn't that crazy?
And no, that book like totally rocked my world. I read that and like my whole life like changed. I was like, wow, I don't want a job anymore. Like, what the heck? Like, this is crazy. Like, it just completely changed my mindset about work and life and travel and everything. And so I was trying to think of a business idea. And I happened to go to Barnes & Noble with one of my friends, and I was like, looking at the knitting book section and I was like talking about my frustration and I was like, how come like I don't like any of these patterns? Like it's like I want to buy a book and like make patterns. I don't like any of these. Like why are these patterns so like I just I don't want to make them. Like I had all these ideas and then that person was like, well, why don't you design patterns? And I was like, why don't I? And then so I did some research. I mean, I thought you had to be a published author, like you had to like publish a book to be a pattern designer, but I started researching it and I found a site called Ravelry, which is an amazing site. That's Ravelry. And it's a community for knitters and crocheters. And it compiles like all of the knitting patterns like out there on the internet and just like all this cool stuff. It's like catalogs like every type of yarn and like publication and just it's like the Amazon of like knitting patterns.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's also like community based and user, it was started by a couple. But, like a lot of the users have generated like a lot of the content and there's like a lot of forums and it's really awesome. But I saw that people were self-publishing individual knitting patterns as PDF downloads on there. And I was like, and once I saw that, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I need to do this. Like I have this vision for like, what I want to see out there in the knitting world. And I was just really inspired by the fact that, these everyday people were publishing their patterns and selling them. Knitting patterns typically sell for like $5 to $6, kind of in that range.
Okay.
And then I just checked out like the most popular patterns. I was like, are these, people buying these? Like what's going on? And I saw that the most popular patterns had like as many as 5,000 reviews. And the way reviews works on there is really cool. Like someone can rate it and upload pictures of like their projects from like knitting that pattern. So you can really see like what they've made. And that's really cool. But I could just see like 5,000 people. Oh my gosh, like 5,000 times 5, that's like $25,000. I'm like, that's crazy. This is actually like a real like business that people have for themselves. And so, once I realized that this was like a thing, I was just like, I got to do this. And so from there, it was, it took me like about a year after that before I actually launched my business. But after like realizing that I could do this, it just got me like thinking about like like my purpose and like what I want to do with my life.
Mhm.
And I really realized that I felt like this was what I was meant to do. I'm like, I've been a fashion designer for so long, and I have this like huge passion for knitting. I've been doing it all my life. I love it. And I really wanted to bring fashion and knitting together and provide patterns out there for younger girls that just, there was a huge void. They just weren't out there. And so I became really passionate about that in starting this brand.
That's awesome. So it was called Girly Knits from the start, I assume?
Yeah, that was my first idea. It was available. So.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so when you were going up and posting your stuff, did you how were you able to build awareness for this brand? And was it all through this forum that you were talking about, or how did you get traction for it? I mean, a lot of people, they have these ideas just like you. They have these amazing passions for something, and they're just afraid that when they put it up there, then it's going to be crickets. How were you able to not have that happen?
Yeah, so I mean, I started with a lot of ideas. I also started a blog called knittingisawesome.com, another one that was available. And I'm like, what? Why is this available? This is awesome. So I started that blog and just started posting pictures of like cool, like inspirational knitted things.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just like write a little comment about it each day. And so I started doing that just to like plant some seeds. I was like, if people come across my blog, then they'll find me. Like that was definitely one idea to get people to find out about me, started a Facebook page and like social media and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then really for me, it was about launching with a collection because I really wanted to share like my big vision with people. Like when they first came to me, like I didn't want them to come to my site and see like one pattern and be like, who is this person? And then kind of like leave. I wanted them to see like 13 patterns. I actually started with 13 because I wanted to do like this well-rounded thing where I was like designing different types of things and showing like everything I could do and like this vision I had for this brand. And that was really important to me to launch a full collection all at once so that people were like, either like, I like her, I don't like her, I want to follow her. And that they could, either say like yes or no. So that was really important to me. And gosh, what else did I do? I'm sure I did a bunch of things and I got ideas from here.
So was it just like writing blog posts and, social media, or were there any other platforms that you were using to share a lot of these things that you were talking about?
So I started with some free patterns too. I mean, that's just a great way to get people to see you because, when you're on Ravelry, you can search like all the patterns or just the free patterns. There are a lot of free patterns out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have like a pattern or two that are free, like that's a great way because there's, people that will just find those and download them. And I put like, a little ad in the back, like, oh, here's, my other patterns. And so definitely did that. And then I think it wasn't until, I'm trying to think when I made my first YouTube video, I was definitely inspired by you to start doing YouTube videos. You mentioned it a lot. And, with your like be everywhere strategy, you always mentioned video. And so eventually I did start making YouTube videos, and those have been great for people finding me. A lot of people say they find me through YouTube. And so, yeah, it's just been kind of like this ongoing thing. Like, every time I publish a new pattern, I definitely get like a lot of eyes on me and my brand. That happens in Ravelry, like, like the new hot things, like people see those. And Ravelry is great because it's like a totally targeted audience. Like all those people are there to look for knitting patterns. So that really is the greatest way for people to find my work and my patterns for sure.
That's very cool. And in terms of monetization, when you first launched with your line, were you able to sort of monetize right away? And what was that income like? And then how long until it really became this thing that you're like, oh my gosh, this is like a real business for me?
Yeah, so the first month I actually made $80, and that was super cool. $80. I mean, I think partly I didn't know what to expect, but when I look back on it, I'm like, people actually bought from me. Like they didn't know me. I was like brand new. I had no reputation. So I just think it's super cool that I even like made that much the first month. And then, it was kind of similar like the couple months after that. And, at first I was like, oh shoot, is this going to work? Like, I don't really know. Cause that wasn't like, it's awesome, but it wasn't like anything to live off of. So I just kept plugging away, kept going and, listening to your podcast, trying out different things. And I even tried, some like affiliate marketing to see if that would work. But that's not the most successful thing. Like, that's a very small part of what I've done. But I was just trying different things. And then I had one pattern. It's called Owl Be There. It's like a owl hat.
Uh-huh.
And that one got really popular. So that really helped because I saw success with that. And that really, Yeah, just looking back on my business as a whole, like that, I mean, on one of the sites I sell on, that's like 75% of my sales, and I have like 45 patterns. So like it's, that one was really popular, and that just showed me like, what was, possible, and encouraged me to keep going. And then within a year I had my first $1,000 month, and that was a huge milestone. I was like, it was something like I really wanted to happen, and I was like a big goal of mine, but I didn't know if it could. And then when it finally happened, it was just like the coolest thing. And then a year later, I had my first $2,000 month, and I was super exciting as well.
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
it's just, it's kind of gone from there. I mean, now I can say like on average, I probably make about $1,000 a month, like $1,000 to $1,200 a month. From $5 knitting patterns. So I'm selling around 200 to 300 a month, and that's been pretty consistent. So
That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way.
thank you.
Now, this "I will be there" line, I'm curious, did you think that it would blow up in the way that it did when you created it?
No, and it's funny because it wasn't even totally my idea. I was supposed to teach a teen knitting workshop, and the girl putting it on asked me to design an owl hat, and it was something that like I'd wanted to do, but there's actually so many out there already that I was like, oh, why would I design this? Like there's just, there's so many patterns already. Like I don't know why they'd choose mine. It's probably only going to be slightly different, but I was like, okay, she wants me to do this. So I did it and did my like own take on it. And the workshop actually never ended up happening, but I decided to publish the pattern since I'd done all the work already. And so, yeah, it was kind of a fluke almost. And I still am not really sure like why it's so popular. People just, I don't know, loved it. I mean, it's really cute, and it comes in like sizes baby to adult. So, a lot of people, they make them for like their whole family, or, like a bunch of kids, or, a new baby coming. So I think that's part of it. And it's just a fun pattern that's just gotten a lot of traction. Like a lot of people have shared it. And gosh, like some people even made videos about it just because they liked it. And a lot of people post their projects on Ravelry. And, when more people post like their projects, and other people are like, oh, that person's turned out really great. Like I could make that too. So that definitely helps. And yeah, so
That's so cool. And it's funny because you had mentioned like it was maybe 75% of your sales at one point, which is really close to that 80-20 rule that we always see. And, it just happens sometimes. So I love that you were just pumping out content, sharing great patterns, and, eventually that's what's going to happen. One or two of them are really going to pick up steam. I mean, I saw the same thing with my iPhone app business that I had back in the day, which is still around, but back in its prime, back in 2009, 2010, we saw 90% of our income coming from, just one or two of our apps, and we had about 20 or 25 in total. So, you can't predict those things sometimes. It just happens. But if you didn't create those things, obviously you wouldn't even have a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. And tell me about this. I remember the last time you messaged me, you had talked about some design competition that you were in. Talk about how that all went down.
Yeah, so that was back in 2013. It was competition called the Fiber Factor, and it was meant to be sort of like Project Runway, but for knitting. So there were like design challenges. So the way they did it is actually super cool, and I hope someone can like maybe use this idea, because I just love the way they did it. But they picked 12 contestants from around the country. Mm-hmm. And you had to audition, like send in a video audition and pictures of your work and like essays and all these things. And so they picked 12 of us, and I was chosen, which was super awesome. And then so we did everything from home, because knitting takes a long time. For those who don't know, like knitting a sweater, I mean, it takes like, I don't know, 30 to 50 hours, depending on how hard it is. So it takes a long time. And so you wouldn't really want to do that in real time or live or anything like that. So they had us do it from home, and they would give us 2 to 4 weeks for each challenge. And what they would do is they'd send us like a box in the mail, and we'd like open the box, and like there'd be like the challenge inside. So either they'd send us like the materials that we had to use, mm-hmm. or, some tool that we had to use. Sometimes they let us pick yarn. Other times they let us pick like a color, but they wouldn't tell us like what it was or what the challenge was. Each one was very different, but they basically sent us the challenge. We worked on it from home, and then we would make our own videos that they would kind of turn into these like online episodes or webisodes. I don't know what you call them. So we would each have to do a progress video where we would talk about like what our inspiration was and like what we were working on and show our work in progress. And then they would kind of show those in real time to the people watching. So they could be like, oh, this person's working on this, like before any of us had actually finished. So we could see like what other people were working on. It was cool. And then we had to do a presentation video when we finished, presenting our finished work and talking about it. And then they would take those presentation videos and make an episode where they had a live panel of judges come and see all of our designs and judge them and make this cool episode out of it. So there were 6 challenges total, and the prize for winning a challenge was $500, and I won one of them. And then the top 4 contestants went on to a final challenge. And yeah, so this was over the course of like 9 months, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like it would take a while, but that's cool.
Yeah. And so the top 4 did a collection of 3 pieces. And then we showed it at this fashion show here in New York City at a big knitting convention called Vogue Knitting Live. And it was like in front of an audience of like thousands of people. It was really exciting.
Wow.
And then they picked a winner, and I actually won. So
yay, congratulations. That's awesome.
So actually, yeah, I won a all expenses paid trip to Germany to tour yarn and knitting needle factories. And it was really, really cool. I loved it. So
that's cool. Did you talk about your trip on your blog?
You know what? I don't know if I ever did a formal blog post about it. I posted a lot on my Instagram, and I think I did a newsletter, but I don't know that I did a blog post. But
yeah, no worries. I was just wondering if there were any pictures I could see, or people who are interested in seeing what that tour was like. It just sounds really interesting. And, the cool thing here is that, you could tell that you are all about knitting. And I think a lot of people who are building online businesses, they kind of try to get into other kinds of spaces that maybe they yet to have the ability to become, a leader in the space. And obviously you've chosen your niche. You've niched down to more like hip and stylized kind of knitting, which I think is really smart. And you just kind of been owning this space. I think that's the coolest thing. I mean, you've gotten to know the community through that forum like you were talking about. Now you're doing stuff related to conventions and fashion shows. And, what else are you doing in the knitting space that helps you stand out as an authority figure?
Let's see. I actually just did an online course or 2 online courses for a site called Craft University. And that was a super cool opportunity that I hadn't told you about. But in December, I flew out to Colorado, and I had like an all expenses paid trip to go and film these 2 knitting courses in like this really super awesome, like cool film studio with like tons of cameras and like a crew and like, makeup artists and like all these like cool things. It was like,
that's awesome.
It was really cool. I did a learn to knit course. So it's like very basics of knitting. I walked through like, just picking out yarn and needles and then all the basics of knitting, and we make a hat and glove set together. And then I did another course about cable. So yeah, that's one thing I've done recently. Like I'm very passionate about inspiring younger girls to learn to knit and pick up knitting because it's always been such a blessing and joy in my life. And I'm so glad I had it and learned when I was younger. So I just want to, show people like a new light on knitting and inspire them. And in terms of fun, I mean, I recently knitted a full-on mermaid costume for the Coney Island Mermaid Parade.
What?
And that was just a total like for fun. Like I offered the pattern for free on my blog, and I was just like, I just like showing knitting in like unconventional and new ways, so people, to challenge kind of people's stereotypes and perspectives on it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's really my mission and my vision. And so I think through design is how I'm doing that. So.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the big challenges that you faced along the way? Like you have this vision for what you want to do. I mean, it couldn't have been all easy. What are some of the challenges you faced along the way?
My biggest challenge, honestly, is I spend like a majority of my time knitting, and I spend I want to say 90% of my time knitting. Like I don't really spend that much time on my computer. Mm-hmm. And, it's only when I'm like really finishing up, like writing the patterns and doing the PDFs and doing a big launch and updating my website and newsletter and all those things. But like a majority of the time I'm just spending knitting. And I know that's probably something that you would say like, oh, you should like outsource that or like, hire someone to do that. But it's actually kind of challenging to do because, I'm still learning. I try to challenge myself with each new design and like try new techniques. And, I still feel like I'm learning things. And I also want to know like what the experience is making that project. Some people do hand it off, but I don't think that I'm there, and I'm not sure that I will do that, but it takes up most of my time. So I sometimes think about like, oh, maybe I'll do like a product line, or maybe I should do, something else. And because, I think that's my biggest challenge. But and also it's just, keeping going. Like I put a ton of work into this, and I'm not making like a full-time living yet by any means. I do have a part-time job as a fashion designer still. So I'm trying to think. I think it's just keep having the persistence to keep going. And I think what helps is that I am so passionate about it, because if I wasn't, I would have given up like a long time ago. But, new like awesome opportunities keep coming because I've put myself out there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a question. Do you feel like the part-time job is potentially holding you back from more work that you could be doing on your site to grow it even more? Or do you feel like it's helping to supplement it? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Why do you still have a part-time job, basically?
That's a great question. Because I'm actually very pro part-time job. So,
it's not a bad thing. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's actually an interesting story. I actually originally, when I wanted to start my business, my intention was to quit my job. I had been saving up for a long time to start this. I saved up like a year's worth of savings and was like, okay, I'm just, going to quit my job. I'll give it a year. If I'm not making enough after that year, then, I'll go back to work or whatever. And I really loved my job. And I went to my boss and told her, the whole thing about how passionate I was about this, and I loved my job, but I just, I really wanted to do this. And she was actually really supportive, and she was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I used to knit, and like, it was really cool. And she was like, how about we just have you, on like 2 or 3 days a week, and while you train the new person, try it for a few months, and then we can reevaluate from there and see if this is working. Because we didn't have any freelancers or part-time people at the time. It wasn't really a thing at my company, so I didn't think she would go for that. But I was like, yeah, sure, like let's do that. And and 5 years later, I'm still working there, which is crazy. But I've questioned that a lot, and because I think everyone thinks the goal is like to quit your job, but I've had the experience of working from home for like weeks at a time, because there's been times where like it's slow at my company, and maybe I only come in like 2 times in a month or something like that. And I realized that like it's actually really good for me to have the part-time job, because it adds some structure into my week. And, like I have to like go somewhere and like get dressed and put makeup on and like do some work. I mean, I don't know if you can relate, but like I was going kind of crazy working from home. I also live alone, so I don't have like, someone like coming home, or like, like anyone to be accountable to. Like I could not leave my apartment for like 5 days and nobody would know. So I think it's really nice having that structure. It's definitely nice having that income, so I haven't had to stress about, making money with my business, or, do things that, I didn't want to do. I feel like I've been really just focused on doing what I'm excited about and lit up about in my business. And I love my coworkers. It's very inspirational being at my company, because part of my job is doing like a lot of trend research and design. So I'm always getting ideas, and,
that's cool.
And we just work in this super cool office. Like we're on like the top 2 stories of this building, and we have this like rooftop deck, and I can see like the Statue of Liberty from my desk. I don't know. I just really love my job. And so I'm happy to continue working there. I think I just honestly, I'm not sure. I was actually challenged by working from home, every day. So I probably could do a lot more. And, if opportunities come where I want to put like my full focus on it, that's great. But at the moment, I'm able to accomplish like what I've been wanting to accomplish part-time.
I love that. It's a great story, and it's a good lesson too. I mean, you were right. A lot of people think it has to be all in or nothing, and you're sort of doing both, and you know what you want, and you're enjoying it. I mean, why do something different?
Yeah. I mean, I got to the point where I was like, if something happened with my job, I'd probably get another part-time job just so I can keep this going. But I'm really, really grateful for my business, because, if something did happen, or if I decided I wanted to like go travel for a year or something, like it's just amazing that I know that I would have income still coming in from that and could build on it. And like, if there's so many things I can do with it. So it's really awesome. And I didn't mention before too, I just, when I was doing that contest, as I said, for 9 months, like I wasn't able to work on my business, and I actually had like my best, like it was, my business kept growing basically. And that month that I had my first $2,000 month was amidst the competition when I hadn't like created anything new. So, I mean, that was just like super cool too, to see how, building a business can provide that for you when you were like working on other projects and everything. So
Yep, passive income. There it is. So that's awesome. You know what I love about this? It's that you have options, you have choices, you've made the choices, and you're living purposefully. which is awesome. Yeah. So congratulations. That's fantastic. Man, Lauren, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. This is super inspirational. I'm sure a lot of people are going to really enjoy it. Where can people find out more about you and what you're up to?
Yeah, girlyknits.com. I'm Girly Knits pretty much everywhere you go. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. So, yeah.
Love it. And then Awesome Knitting Patterns, is that still available too?
No, knittingisawesome.com.
Oh, Knitting is Awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
I had it in my notes here and I switched pages and I lost it. So awesome. Thank you so much again, and wishing you all the best.
Thanks, Pat.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Lauren from girlyknits.com and also knittingisawesome.com. Not Awesome Knitting Patterns, although she does have some awesome knitting patterns, but it's knittingisawesome.com. All the links and the resources mentioned in this episode are available at smartpassiveincome.com/session237. And I also want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, which is ShipStation.com. This is super cool, probably useful for a lot of people who are doing things like Lauren, who are shipping things out, because what they do, what ShipStation does, is it becomes the middleman that really helps to organize everything from where all the orders are being placed from. So all those different sites where one could sell things online, Amazon, eBay, Etsy, their own Shopify site, everywhere. There's literally like hundreds of integrations if you check it out. But all those orders come in, they get shown on ShipStation, and then ShipStation helps you get those orders out the door as quickly as possible. They can help you even choose the right carrier so that you can always get the lowest rate for every package that you sent out. Super easy to use interface, very, very convenient. And I know that when I start doing physical products like this, I will be using ShipStation myself. And actually, that's hinting at something that might be coming in the near future, but you'll see. For now, try it out for free for 30 days. Just go to ShipStation.com and click on the microphone at the top and type in SPI. And guess what? If you do that, you get an additional month for free. So try ShipStation free for 30 days and get an additional month for free. Go to ShipStation.com, click on the mic at the top, and type in SPI. Thanks so much. I appreciate you. And I look forward to serving you in the next episode of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. Until then, keep moving forward. And if you haven't yet listened to my other show, Ask Pat, where 5 days a week I answer a question from you, and you'll hear your voice too if you get your question featured on the show. Check it out. Go to askpat.com. If you love this show, you want more, that show is 5 days a week. Each episode's 5 to 10 minutes in length, and I know you're going to love it. So go to askpat.com or look that up in iTunes, and you can find me there too. So we can keep hanging out together. Hope to see you there. Thanks so much, and like I said, I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? You record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. Look, I get it. You want to grow your business, but trying to sell to hundreds or even thousands of people gets very exhausting very fast. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? Score App helps you sell to more people without adding more to your plate. You build a quiz or assessment that your audience actually wants to take. Then they answer a few quick questions and get a personalized result right away. It shows them where they're at and what they need to do next and how you can help. And you build huge amounts of trust before you make even a single offer. No hard sell, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. All you have to do is just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.